Hello everybody again. Please don't mind my messy table. I am just continuing on with the video series that I have for buttons, buttonholes, and eyelets. So we have made two previous videos, one where we went ahead and made a buttonhole and one where we went ahead and made the button. On this video, we're going to show you how to go ahead and do an eyelet, okay? And here is a picture of the, or not a picture, but here's the buttonhole we made in the last video. Just a nice basic one, nothing super special about it, but a nice reinforced one where you can see the seamage. So here we're gonna go ahead and make an eyelet. Like I said, I am using a permanent marker just for visibility's sake. And you're gonna measure out here how far apart you want your eyelets. On the front of a coat hardy, for a kirtle, an undergown, especially if it's a supportive one, I would do no less than ½ an inch apart and no more than an inch apart. It's supportive, so you need the strength in there. So we're gonna go ahead and I'll just mark one here and show you how to do it. If you have any questions about that, you can always ask me. I will give you as much information as I can. If I have it, if I do not have it, I will hand you over to somebody who knows much more than I do. They do exist. So let's go ahead and take that, and I marked where our eyelet's gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead and take an awl. Kind of looks like an ice pick. There's a couple different kinds, but this is my nice heavy duty one. I like it. Because it's kind of solid. It's a nice sharp edge to it, and you never want to use a dull one because the point of using an eyelet and an awl is to not make a hole, like not to tear the fabric. You want to make a hole by pushing the fibers away, not by tearing the fibers. So if you look really close, I'm sorry, you see the fibers and the weave that it's going. And so I want to make this awl poke through, okay, and not tear. If you can see, I just am kind of pushing, there we go, pushing the fibers out of the way. And this is why I like the heavy one, because I kind of set it on here to put it on. It's much easier than going in the other direction, or you can go like this and just move it through. Notice nothing tore, but you can see that it's stretched out, okay? And I'll pull the awl out of there so you can see there's no tearing, but we made a hole like that. So no tearing, we just move those fibers out of the way. So here we are with our first little eyelet hole. And you just want to slide it through every now and then because it will tense back up. So I've taken a thread, piece of red silk thread, along with my needle, and pre-knotted that because nobody wants to watch me spend 5 minutes trying to get a thread in the eye of a needle. And we're gonna come up from the underside again, about ½ an inch, ¼ of an inch away. So underside to overside, and we're just really quickly gonna do a couple of stabilizing stitches. I tend to do like 4 of them, 5 of them on either side, and a spiral around the eyelet hole. And what that does is it's gonna keep it open for me. So just gonna leave it like that and keep moving it around. It gets much easier when you're doing it on a piece of garb, a piece of clothing. I just have a piece of fabric here, so it's just kind of like moving around willy-nilly. Go like this, pull it through. And we're just gonna do it like this, like I said, to keep the eyelet hole open. So there we go. Come back up. So there, we have a nice, open, tense eyelet hole. At this point, I like taking the awl and I'll go through it one more time before I knot anything so that I have it at the right size that I want it to be at, okay? So with this, I take it and we're going to use the same buttonhole stitch we did before. Not the blanket stitch. The blanket stitch goes differently, but we're going to do it like this and pull it through. That's going to give us a nice locking stitch. And we're just going to keep going around. Like I said, I'm using the red thread for the higher visibility. I hope you guys can see it. I promise I will make a better video in the future. I kind of just want to see how this works, and if it does help anybody, please let me know, because I will continue to do them if it's going to help somebody. A lot of people will use, and I did in the very beginning for eyelets, embroidery floss. I have found over time that it doesn't hold up as much. It tends to break a lot easier, and it gets it's thick. I don't like the thicker thread. It being cotton, as soon as I wash any of my garb, it shrinks, which makes the hole smaller, which means when I'm at war and stuff like that, I usually have to bring it all with me to open those holes back up again. Sorry. And we're just going to continue doing this all the way around, just like the buttonhole stitch. And as you can see, it's making a nice little pattern around. So let me go ahead and finish this up for us. Now you can do eyelets on undergarb. You can also do them on outer clothing, like outer coat hardies. There's a different term for every piece of garb, but your undergarments are always going to have your undergarb, so your underdress, stuff like that, that's always going to have eyelets. You're never going to have buttons on that. It's too bulky to make up the front of it. So you're always going to have eyelets on the undergarment. The outer garment can have either eyelets or buttons and buttonholes, depending on your time period. I do later 14th century Western European, and there was both and evidence of both buttons and buttonholes used in that time for closing pieces of garb together. There were buttons found much earlier, Roman times and before that, where they were used as a decorative statement, not necessarily to close pieces of clothing together. So the earliest that I have found of actual extant garment was kind of like the moy gown, 14th century. You can see where their buttonholes are on that gown, even though we can go down. Now, not to say it didn't happen, but I haven't found the evidence to show that buttons were used as closing utensils. I'm nervous and so can't think of words. But I haven't seen any evidence of buttons being used to close fabrics together before that in any extant garments. And that's not to say that it didn't happen. It just doesn't exist because time happens and things don't stay around as well as they should and as well as we want them to. So as I talked, I went ahead and finished up that eyelet. I'm going to stick the needle back through so that we have the underside of it. And you can tell here, it's like one of them I didn't go too far, but because we have that locking stitch on each one, we can just clip that. I'm not worried about it. But we're gonna go ahead and just finish off our piece of thread and come around, tie it twice around. Don't get stuck on the other side. Pull it through, that knots our fabric. And then we can go ahead and cut those and that extra piece that we had off. So there is your eyelet. That's enough for an undergown. If you really like getting fancy, you can use home woven thread to go through on the fly, like on the quick. Shoelaces are easiest. I did that a lot in the very beginning. It was much easier than putting an egglet on a piece of thread. So there is your eyelet. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anecdotes, short stories, please leave them below. Suggestions on how to be better at this, I will always take. Nobody's born an expert, but we can all learn from each other. So if you have any ideas, please go ahead and send them along. If you have any subjects you'd like to look into, then shoot me a message and let me know. But feedback is awesome. Positive feedback I will gladly take. But have a good day.